Yeah, welcome everyone. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining today's webinar. Today, we're going to be going over some ways to speed up your site grading with AutoGrader. AutoGrader is an add-on tool within Civil 3D, and it's part of CTC software. My name is Alex Howlett. I'm an account manager here at SolidCAD. With me today, I have Jay Kwan. Jay Kwan is one of our technical consultants. He will be taking you through today's webinar. Jay and myself work to help Civil 3D users improve their day-to-day work through better practices with the use of our add-on tools. These tools help to ease time spent on repetitive tasks, rework, they reduce human error, and they speed up simple and complex processes, which give you more time to take on more, or maybe finally work on that passion project, or hopefully some vacation days. Jay is specialized in civil infrastructure and is especially interested in automation through Dynamo and visualization with rendering with Civil 3D and InfraWorks. So today's agenda, I'm going to start off by introducing SolidCAD and CTC, a little bit about who we are and what we do. Then Jay is going to take over and show 5 common grading situations that are normally tedious tasks that can be made much easier to overcome with AutoGrader. So SolidCAD, who are we? What do we do? For 25 years, SolidCAD has been one of the leading Autodesk Platinum partners in Canada, and we are the only Canadian-based Platinum partner for Autodesk and Bluebeam, and we are exclusive CTC providers here in Canada. Our mission is to provide and deliver technology solutions and training that improve our clients' processes, workflows, and interoperability. What it means to be a Platinum partner is that we are operating at the highest level in our partner programs. It serves as a message to all that SolidCAD provides top service and industry expertise and delivers value to our customers, as well as expertise and certifications. To become and remain a Platinum partner, we have to maintain a certain number of clients. We have authorized Autodesk training techs and facilities all over Canada. This is a map of our training facilities. Of course, because of the pandemic, all of our training has moved online. Hopefully we can start doing in-person training again. We actually employ one of the largest teams of industry technology experts across Canada. They support all Canadian time zones and in both official languages. The average tech on our team has over 15 years of industry experience. So SolidCAD specializes in technology that supports multiple industries, including architecture, engineering, construction, manufacturing, and my focus and Jay's focus, civil infrastructure. Please note that we are software agnostic, so we provide full software solutions. We've partnered with leading software developers like CTC to make sure our clients get the best service. Setting us aside from all other service providers is our large range of service offerings. We are much more than a software reseller. We provide our customers with support to answer those why questions, training and consulting to answer those how questions. And we also host events like this one. We do workshops, boot camps, networking events, and other webinars to educate our customers and prepare their business as technology changes. And finally, CTC software. CTC software is at the forefront of advanced productivity tools and worldwide leaders in BIM technology. They're a member of the Autodesk Developer Network and have been making add-ons for Revit and Civil 3D since 2010. These tools are used by more than 40,000 users globally and have more than 75% of top firms in the United States alone. SolidCAD is committed to providing our clients with industry-leading solutions such as CTC, and we're excited to show you how we can help you with your site grading. So this is our socials. If you have any questions, please add them to the chat box. It's going to be tough to answer them live, so we're going to do those at the end. We'll get to as many as we can. And if we don't get to those, either shoot us a message or I'll take down your name and I can get to you after. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Jay. You can take over.
Thank you very much. I'll start sharing my screen. Okay. All right, so I'm going to start by covering the basic usage of the CTC AutoGrader. Just for anyone that's sort of like this is a new exposure for them, I just want to explain how it's used, why It can make your workflows a lot easier, more efficient. And then towards the later part, we'll start taking a look at some more interesting use cases too. Okay, so a little bit of background. Let's start with the existing grading tools in Civil 3D. So right now I have grading creation tool pop up. Basically, like the grading that we do, it's usually we just have the generic grading tools. Sometimes we can speed things up and automate things by sort of creating a custom grading set. Yeah, I don't have a custom one created right now, but for example, let's say we create a string of rules. One gets you from edge of pavement to sort of gutter of a curb, and then from the gutter of a curb to the top of a curb, and then from the top of the curb to the back of the curb, that kind of thing. But you still have to run those rules one at a time, right? Although you kind of make it easier to do that. But one of the things we can do is just kind of automate the process. So start from a feature line and then run a bunch of grading rules all at once. And more than that, we can run it on more than one feature line at the same time. So let's take a look at that scenario. So this is a commercial lot with the edge of pavement feature lines already all done up. So this is assuming that you already have sort of like a pre-grading done, and then you have this edge of pavement sort of draped on it, and you're ready to do the rest of it, kind of thing. Well, I'll fire up the auto grader. Okay, so AutoGrader works by having grading families. A grading family, you can think of it as a grading set in Civil 3D, except, you know, it runs all the rules at the same time and can run it on multiple objects at the same time. And let's start with the building site curb. I'll edit that so we can take a look at its parameters. Right. So at first, the first thing that you do is just specify which lines that you start from, which feature lines. Right now, I have it filtered. So you can filter it by anything. Like you can filter it by layer, layer description, name, style, site. You don't have to remember it. There's a little button here that you can use to just pick a line, for example, and then it'll just use that layer. So right now I'm grabbing all feature lines that has this layer, and that currently is 6 different feature lines. Then it's going to run some rules. So those are the parent lines. Now, starting from the parent, it's going to go towards sort of like the left. That's the lip of the curb. So basically, the parent is a gutter of the curb. So it's going to go leftwards to the lip of the curb at a distance of 400 mils at 2%. Towards the right, it's going to go to the top of the curb from the parent. Then from the top of the curb, we're going to go to the back of the curb. So basically distance at slope, distance to relative elevation, those kinds of rules. It's almost like we're putting together sort of like a little mini assembly while we're doing grading. So I'll save that and just run it. And it'll just go around each line and start generating the other feature lines. All right. So I think that's just about done. Let me just close that and just take a look at it. So you can fully control, sort of like, kind of like with a auto grading surface, you can fully control the tessellation, how often you generate a vertex and that kind of thing. And just to let you know, none of this is doing and creating any proprietary objects. Like if you can pass this drawing along to anyone that, you know, they don't have to have CTC tools, they'll just be able to continue using it, because all it's doing is just creating more feature lines and adding them as break lines. So nothing out of standard. So let me just take a look at that surface real quick. So I'm sure there will have to be a little bit of a cleanup, but most of that's already completed. Okay, so let's just finish this commercial site. There is a little pond. So let me just go ahead and take a look at that. So I'll pop up the AutoGrader again. Building site pond grading group or grading family. So this one, we're just going to start from the parent line, which is going to be just that cyan line. You can just select the parent line too, actually. You don't have to use a filter. So I'll just manually select this line to start from. And then as far as the rules go from the parent, we're going to go inwards, you know, towards this first sort of bench out, I guess you could call it, and then to the bench in, and then to the bottom. Okay, so, and that's just defined as distance at slope with the distance column here and the slope column here. Okay, so I'll just close that and run that as well. So that will generate the pond. And finally, there's outer limits of the site, and I'll just finish up this grading just by running that as well. And that one, if we take a look at the definition, we just go from the parent, and it's just a simple 10% grade to the existing ground. So let's run that. Okay, so like I said, a little bit of cleanup maybe, and you know, it's doing is just adding these additional feature lines as break lines to the surface. So maybe I'll just finish it up by adding this outer boundary as a break line. Yeah. And there we go. So pretty quick way to do a site grading. All you need to do is just some pre-grading and set the initial and just drape the feature lines and off you go. Okay. So let's take a look at another situation. So let's take a look at a subdivision. So we have something like this. We have a road going around. Some of the lots have been designed already. Horizontally anyways. We're going to be grading some of those lines. Also, there's an area where we might need to fill in some more lots, and maybe an area where we might need a retaining wall. We'll take a look at those kind of situations. So let's take a look at the new lots. So so far we've been just doing concentric grading. That's the only mode of grading that you know, you can do out of the box. So let me just pop this up. When I click on the create a new grading family button, kind of lets me choose between three. So parallel grading, that's sort of like the default Civil 3D grading mode, but it also has perpendicular grading. So you can actually grade lines going perpendicular from the parent line. And we can also do template insertion. So perpendicular, you can achieve some of that with corridors, right? But you know, sometimes the corridors can be a bit of an overkill. And maybe you need something that's quick and that can do perpendicular grading. And we'll take a look at template insertion as well later. So let's take a look at the perpendicular grading. So let's make some new lots. So I sort of have a grading family sort of prepared here, subdivision new lots. Let's take a look at the rules. So first of all, let me just clear the selection there and just select from the drawing what line I want to draw lots from. Maybe I'll just pick this one. I can do like both sides, but I'll just stick with this side for now. I'll just go with that one. Now, from that right-of-way line, it's going to start following these rules. From the parent, it's going to do go to that point, go to that point, go to that point, and then go to that point, using the rules that are defined here. So in a perpendicular direction. Well, how do we control how often that happens? So how wide are the lots? That's controlled by the stations. So let's take a look at the stations. Right now, my stations are empty. So as you know, feature lines have stations. So we can use a stationing to say where we start creating the side lot lines, right? So maybe at the, if we're starting at 0, maybe at 20-meter mark, we create one, maybe at 40-meter, 50-meter, that kind of thing, right? But I can put them in individually here. For fine-tune control, but what I'm gonna do is just populate an interval. So let's say every 25 meters. Oh, I gotta select that collection. There we go. So every 25 meters is going to generate one of these. So let's take a look at that. So I'll just save and close that and run it. And basically starting from that right away, every 25 meters is going to generate those side lot lines. And I do have the option to generate the back line as well, to just connect whatever, just connect from point to point at the end of what I create, which is what's been done there. So that's a magenta line. So that basically created a bunch of new lots very quickly. So it's not just creating new perpendicular lines. We're kind of familiar with that, that's sort of like the corridor way of doing things, but we can actually take existing feature lines and convert and adjust their elevations as well. So let's kind of take a look at that scenario. For that, I'll just flip over to my other drawing here. Just give me a second. So in this drawing, I have it divided into a few different lot types. So lookout lots, walkout lots, basement lots. I'll kind of focus on the lookout lots for now. I'll just get the auto grader going. And take a look at the lookout lot lines grading family. Okay, so the rule for this one is simple. We just go 10 meters at 5% and then go 15 meters at -1 meter relative elevation, starting from the parent. As far as the parent, we've selected these. Let me take a look at the filter. So all the right-of-way line have been selected. So how does program know which lines to adjust? So that's just by filter as well. Grade existing by filter. If I click on that, basically it's set to catch all side lines, these perpendicular lines that are on the layer lot lines lookout. So those are all the yellow ones. So it tells me that I'm going to have 4 parent feature lines. It's going to affect 22 existing feature lines that exist, like 22 of these yellow ones. And it's going to use these rules. So I'll close that and run that rule. Okay, so there we go. So if I take a look at the surface, the object viewer, So I see that those lots have been graded using the rules that I selected. So here, and there's a few over here as well, I believe. So I can use the same process for the walkout lots and the basement lots. They have different rules each and basically get the whole thing complete fairly quickly. If I have time, maybe I'll come back to that. But for now, let me just show you another thing. So before, I mentioned creating like a template grading. What's that about? So let's say we want to grade a few sort of pads for the houses. So these are templates, and it's nothing fancy. It's not even a block. All it is just a feature line with the grade set the way we want it. So if I just take a look at the elevation editor, it's just a feature line that has that just goes flat in the front, goes to the back at minus 6.67, that kind of stuff. So, and then it goes flat again in the back and then comes back up. So that is all it's doing. That's basically the template. Very simple, just a closed feature line that I can use. And the idea is that I want to position them in each of these lots and also set their elevation as well. So let's go into the details. Auto grader. So here I have a lookout pads grading family sort of started. I'll edit the parameters, take a look. So here we select the template object. I'll click on this and select that feature line. And of course, I need to pick which base point, where the base point is as far as the placement goes. So I'll click on that. And I'll just select the middle of the front. Okay, couple of settings we can set, the rotation, and then distance from the right of way. So that's 10 meters. That's what it's set to. So horizontal positioning, that takes care of it. Now, how about vertical? Number of ways we can set the vertical elevation, number of different references we can use. If I click on this settings, these are the different sort of elevation references I can use. So I can determine the elevation based on the highest point between the two adjacent feature lines, between the two side lot lines, or base it from the low point or the mean. Or I can even just go from the right of way as well. But for now, I'll just pick the highest point of the adjacent feature lines. And maybe I'll set it to 300 mils above the highest point between the two feature lines. Okay, so we have all the information that we need now. And then I'll just actually one more. Let me just take a look at the formatting. And nope, that's fine. Okay, so you can control what feature line style that template object has and that kind of thing, what layer it ends up being. I'll set that aside for now and just run the rule. Okay, so you can see that those are creating those pads and adding those feature lines as break lines to the surface. All right, so let me just take a quick look in the object viewer. Yeah, so I can see the lookout lots are done here, here, and here. All right. Okay, so those are sort of like the standard usages. To just to recap, it's not just concentric grading like we do in out-of-the-box grading tools in Civil 3D. It can do perpendicular, whether it's new objects or existing objects, and it can grade by template. So right now I chose a very simple rectangle, but you can make it as complex as you want for the template. Now let's take a look at a couple of different use cases, a couple of interesting use cases that I've been looking at recently. So I'll go back to the other drawing. Now, this site, that portion of the site, that portion of the existing ground surface, it's quite a bit uphill compared to, let's say, here. So there's quite a bit of a grade. So maybe in the corner of this lot, we want to create a retaining wall or something. Maybe even a stepped retaining wall. So like a series of retaining walls. So I'm going to open up the tool, open up AutoGrader. And check out this retaining wall grading family. So I basically set it up so that it just goes from that one feature line on that line. And what it's going to do is essentially just go across, go up, go across, go up, go across, and then just kind of blend back down into the existing ground surface. So I have a series of rules set up here, and yeah, I can tweak it to whatever I want, but I'll just set it to that. So basically kind of like 2 meters over, 2 meters up, 2 meters over, 2 meters up, that kind of situation. So I think there's altogether like 6 to 7 meters of difference between sort of this point and the back corner. So that's what I'm trying to control here. So I'll save that and run the retaining wall rule. And we'll take a look at what that does. All right. So it's been able to run those rules pretty quick. I was kind of connecting with the other side of the lot, but that's okay. Let's just take a look at that. So yeah, obviously I'm gonna need to do some further grading back here. So this is all gonna be cleaned up eventually, but for now, it's just an artifact. But yeah, I just wanted to show you that how quickly you can just set up a retaining wall for whatever it is, for whatever configuration you used, right? It didn't have to be stepped. I could have just did it in one go, but just thought I'd try something like that out. And to clean that up, all we would need to do is just add a little break line there. Let's just cut that off, right? Same on the other corner. That's an interesting use case. So like at a larger scale or a smaller scale, it could be like an individual lot landscaping or a subdivision-wide landscaping, whatever when you want to do with that. So that makes it pretty easy. Another situation that I kind of took a look at was, okay, well, what if we have a surface and I just want to quickly generate sort of like a containment cell or containment pond. And it's sort of like, it's not just a simple one layer thing. I'm gonna have like 2 or 3 layers on top of each other. Maybe it's filter material and riprap and this and that. So basically the idea is I have this feature line that's sort of draped on the existing ground. So if we're sort of thinking about it in terms of profile view, let's say that's existing ground or something, I have this line drawn. And let's say this is sort of like the inside of the pond. Well, we could easily just like we could do not sort of intermediate grading. We can easily generate additional lines that are basically a series of stepped offsets. And then from each one of those, we can use a grading family to create a layer. So essentially, that's what I'm going to do. So let me pop up the AutoGrader. And first of all, I'll run this rule. Let's take a look at it for a second. Containment cell, create baseline. So just ignore these links or whatever. It's not actually going to draw any lines. All it's going to do is just generate, like, not going to connect across the lines, I mean. All it's going to do is just generate that line, and that line. And that's basically the top outside of each layer, basically. So I'll go ahead and save that and run it. So it's going to create those series of reference lines. And then each one of those can be used to create a separate layer. So for cell 1 or cell layer 1, I have something like this set up. So the parent's going to be here. It's going to go this way and then down. And over here, it's going to go down that way. And I basically have 3 different layers set up. So I'll just run them one at a time. Okay, so layer 1 is done. I'll run layer 2. So while this is running, I just wanted to say, if you have any questions, please post it on the question area or the chat, and we'll address any questions you might have. And let me just run layer 3. And that should be just about done. Okay, there we go. Now I just generated a whole bunch of layers at the same time, so I'm just gonna go ahead and just rebuild these in order. So layer 2, so basically layer 1 and 2, and then layer 3, and the final surface that contains all the layers. All right. So yeah, we have now, basically that's a finished surface, like the top surface. But we also have every layer underneath as well. And that we can use to calculate different quantities. Whoops, just select object viewer. That's the first layer. So really, I mean, that took seconds to just complete a containment pond that's multi-layered. So it just saves a lot of time, all sorts of things. Okay, so I'll leave it there for now as far as the demo goes. If you have any questions that pop up, you know, you can ask in the chat area right now, or if you have questions for later, just give us an email, give us a call, and we'll be happy to answer those for you. All right, Alex, do you have any comments to close off the webinar, or not really?
Nothing regarding the software, because this isn't my specialty. I wish I could tell you more. But yeah, just to remind everyone, this is part of a series. So if you are interested in learning more about CTC software, there is another one of these sessions scheduled for November 30th. That is the 5 biggest time savers with CTC pipe network tools. Again, if you're interested in learning more about AutoGrader, or if you have questions about what you saw here today, please reach out to myself or Jay. I can post my information in the chat, and then we're able to assist you if you're looking for training, if you want, if you have questions about the software. Oh, so we've got a couple questions in the chat right now.
Okay,
I've
right
got,
on.
I missed the beginning of the presentation. Where can I get this product? Reach out to me, Jason. I'll send you my email. And then, so every time you run it, it creates a separate surface, and then you would have to combine them if you were building a subdivision surface. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, you can set it to create a surface. For me, I'm a bit of a control freak, so I tend to set up my surfaces ahead of time. So I'll just create a surface, and for example, in the pond one, I pre-created the L1, L2, L3 surfaces, and then basically each grading family rule targets that surface for its break lines. So yeah, you can create the surface from right within AutoGrader, or you can just pre-create them. I like pre-creating them, so I did that. Very good question, though.
So I think that's all of the questions that are in the chat. I'll give it a minute and we'll see if there's any more that come in. Or if there's any questions for Jay specifically. As I mentioned, he's got a lot of expertise in other softwares other than this, and processes. So happy to field those questions as well. But other than that, I think we're good to end it here.
Yep. I'll post on my email for if you have technical questions, you can forward it to me, I guess. Send one to both of us, actually. That'd be the best.
Yeah, awesome. All right, well, thanks everyone for joining us today. Hopefully see you November 30th for our next one.
Thank you very much, everyone. Have a great day.